Hello, everybody. Welcome to another TOME episode commentary. My name is Chris Niosi. I am the creator, writer, animator, general most things, as per the usual, of Terrain of Magical Expertise, and the voice of Kirbopher / Zeto. I am joined yet again by two other folks from my amazing production crew. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
I'm amazing. That's me. No, I'm Liz. I do general script editing, dialogue stuff, getting after Curb in general, etc.
My name is Deven Mack, and I do the voicing and the writing of Raccoon, the raccoon guy.
Yes, so we'll be seeing in just a minute, I believe. So I brought these two on for this episode in particular because I wanted to take this one to talk about story development. And by the way, there you are, Mac, in all your blaze of glory.
I'm so cute.
By the way, you want to explain what is on the back of this sign here?
I don't think so. Tommy don't
play that.
For those of you who've ever watched In Living Color with the Wayans brothers, Jim Carrey, very funny show from the 90s.
So, I guess just to get into a little bit of pre-production talks. So I talked a lot on the last couple commentaries from like 10 through 12 about how we kind of got to this point, a lot of things that changed. So this episode was actually, from the beginning in terms of like the basic plot stuff, has remained pretty much intact from like the very first outline that I had for the whole overarching plot here. What was intended to happen, of course, was that, you know, all the major plot points of this episode was that, okay, they've learned new things about the Forbidden Power. They're, you know, pissed off at the Net Kings. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do. Neo Mutant shows up with some new information, and you know, and then they decide to get together this little group and do this infiltration mission, which the group, of course, ends up being Alpha, Flamey, Nylocke, and Neo Mutant, and Curb and GC for their own personal reasons decide to stay out. So that was the basic thing, and this one was always relatively intact compared to the last couple that have gone through a lot of changes. But, and again, this is why I have Liz and Mac here with me. A lot of the finite details of this particular episode went through a lot of updates, in some cases like complete overhauls, and just a lot of extra dimension added to particular characters and some of their relationships and things. Liz, I'm going to start with you. Hello. So we had you on the episode 7 commentary, where Neo was last very prominent. Of course, he'll be showing up in another minute here. So in that one, and also I mentioned briefly in the episode 9 commentary about the conversation that she and Neo have behind the stadium and everything. We went through a lot of changes, and you really helped with developing the dynamic of Alpha, Flamegirl, and Neo Mutant, all kind of the three of them together with this kind of tension between them, and etc. And this scene in particular, where they're kind of, you know, mulling over what to do exactly, leading into when, of course, Neo shows up, and, you know, he's trying to, you know, to really show that, no, I've changed, like, please listen, I want to help, you know, etc. It's been a little while since we've written this, but are there some particular things you want to go into regarding developing this three-way mess with these teenagers?
Good, great. No, so from the beginning, Flamegirl, like, back in TTA, she's always been kind of the, oh no, I'm in trouble and I need help character, and I figured she needed more of a reason to be around than being the antivirus counterpart to Alpha. So we're like, okay, well, sitting down, we kind of hammered it out. It's like, well, why is Neo Mutant like, oh, well, we need to trust him because he's a good guy. Well, why? Well, because I knew him, I guess, whatever, we worked together in school, and he's kind of a creep, but it's okay, I guess I'll deal with him. So we kind of hammered that out. That was pretty cool. I don't really remember much in writing because it's been a couple years at this point. But it's really a big deal that he shows up and he's like basically the catalyst to everything that happens in this episode. Because otherwise, like, why would they, like, oh, we have to get him, but we don't know how. And then he shows up like, yeah, I have the answer. And they're like, oh, we don't believe you. Whatever. Okay, it's neat, I guess. Whatever. I don't remember.
it's you know, it's weird because it's hard to believe it has actually been almost 2 years now since episode 7 came out, and we first kind of built this. Yeah, it's. And actually, I think it's been has it been almost 3 since 4 came out, which Mac, obviously you and I did the commentary on.
Yeah.
The kind of basic idea I had for the, I mean, I knew that Neo Mutant was going to be like this like creepy kind of stalker, I have a crush on you sort of thing with Flamey, but Liz and I developed. When we had the first draft of episode 7, which as we mentioned in that commentary was a mess, and she completely saved everything about that one. We were building this kind of whole deal with where she and Neo Mutant were in high school together, and before she knew that he was doing any sort of hacking activity, they were both in the same computer science class, and they were both interested in programming and etc.
Basically.
I'd always. Oh, go ahead. Did you have any?
I'm pretty sure that Neo Mutant would wear a fedora in real life. I'm just going to put that out there.
Absolutely, 100%.
Creepy guy. He's like, oh, well, you looked at me and smiled at me once, therefore we are best of friends now, forever, and I have a crush on you. It's like, dude, go away, please. No,
it's funny, because I really didn't even... I couldn't comprehend until about a year ago now that fedoras were like an actual thing that exists, that is a real type of human being.
Fedora. They Reddit user.
Yeah.
Nice
well, no,
meme.
but I think because I think Neo Mutant embodies a real type of
an asshole.
gross sort
He's
of
a creep.
person. Yeah.
He's a tick face. Everybody hates him. One of my favorite one of my favorite Tome blogs in Tumblr right now is like, it's one of those crack RP groups. They kind of take characters and they kind of we're gonna take this concept of this character, just go all over the place with it. They actually have a background image of fucking it's Neo Mutant in a fedora, like the TFW no GF or whatever. It's like, oh my god, that's perfect. He's a freaking asshole. Like, I'm so great. You should listen to me. Like, dude, no, go.
But even with that, it's like I don't think I've said this on a commentary before, but I always feel like bad people can also make for interesting antagonistic characters in that way. So I mean, obviously Neo Mutant's he in this particular episode he's really trying to no, I'm different now, and it's like, yeah, you're still Neo Mutant now.
In a way, he's kind of looking over the dialogue real quick again. He's kind of he's better fleshed out Demon King. Demon King took the hacker job for the same reason that Neo Mutant claims to. That I needed this for the money, and I just did it. I'm not really a bad guy, I promise. I'm great, but he's fleshed out a little bit more than Demon King. So I have to go to school, and I can't talk great. Whatever. It's like, okay, dude, chill. So.
And now he's Tim Curry version 2.0.
Yes, that.
So this I think was because this whole first episode is just like people talking for 30 years.
Yeah, that's one of the first things I watched. I sat down and watched it. I got 8 minutes into it. Oh my god, Curb, they're just sitting around and talking, have them do things. It's kind of like he blew your load action-wise as far as all the fight scenes and shit in the last couple episodes. Now it's we're gonna stand around and plot. Look at this demon monster thing plot.
Well, I guess on that note, actually reminding me now, I you know what? I don't even remember if I talked to you about this. Might have, because it's ancient history by now. But something we're talking about. So again, like I've been saying, episodes 11 and 12's content were very, very updated, because when we moved episode 10 to being the season 1 finale instead of being the season 2 premiere as it was originally going to be, there was a lot of stuff that was changed, and I'm remembering now. One of the episode concepts that was cut, it was in the original outline that I have, so maybe Liz, you saw it 100 years ago.
Probably.
But it was going to be, again, kind of piecing all this stuff together. So the battle with Demon Zeta would have occurred, and then Alpha and GC would have shown up. The Net King battles would have happened right after that in the reverse order of how they are in the series now. And then at the end, when they speak to all of them and they learn all the stuff about the new answers about the forbidden power and the virus and everything, then Nylocke would have spoken about we sealed that away in the drain edge, and then we tossed it away and it's gone now. And then they would have been ejected. And then the episode between the end of the Net King battles and the stuff that happens in this one would have been originally the first time they would have gone to the Sanctuary region, where a whole section of the forest where the drained edge with the forbidden power in it would have been sanctioned off and protected, and then Kizuna / Tiger Lily would have hired 2 hackers to go and try and retrieve it. That was the original version of Torment that we had, and of course we completely overhauled him and made him into a new type of character for episode 10 that I think was a better fit. And then in this case, it just, that whole episode plot ended up being kind of superfluous. So, and I think that it turned out for the better, because having the mystery kind of be discussed in this sort of setting was was a little bit of a better placement for it. So I do regret that, sadly, the character Torture, who was going to be Torment's partner hacker character, he had to be cut entirely. So rest in peace, Torture. But his sacrifice was not in vain.
Yeah, real quick though, even though you just jumped off screen, you went through like 5 or 6 colors. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna redesign Neo Mutant to look like, because I was like, you should just leave him alone and have, like, I don't know. We went through a whole bunch of different color changes and whatnot, and then I guess the purple one was the one he picked. I actually saw a couple conspiracy theories where it's like, oh, maybe Neo Mutant is Gamecrazed because you would see them in the same place, and now he's purple. And I'm like, no, dude, because Gamecrazed isn't a pick bag.
Well,
it's okay.
there's that rumor debunked by word of
they're
God.
not the same person. No, word of Liz.
Mac, I'm going to turn to you now, as it is 3:15 p.m.
And thus begins Raccoon's best day ever.
I wouldn't call it the best day.
So we had episode 4. We talked a lot about the kind of expansion of Raccoon's personality.
There's our cameo by Xander Hand Mobus, by the way.
Yes, and also another cameo by another person possibly in this room with us. I don't
what
know
a
who
loser!
possibly be.
Gross. Who keeps talking? Thumbs down. Garbage.
In the episode 8 commentary, and here, of course, we have Skate showing up, voiced by the lovely and talented Edward Bosco, who I'll be seeing later today, as a matter of fact. So we didn't really get the chance to talk about a lot of the development in that episode because there were 700 people in that Skype call.
Yeah.
So do you want to take, while we have the scene going on, and we can go a little farther past it, a little bit about the story that we basically developed? It just kind of evolved on its own, for Raccoon and Skate / doubling.
Yeah, it was very much unexpected because I expected Raccoon to be a one-off character. That was always the plan. Him and Doubling, they were going to be bad guys and then disappear. And yeah, I'm really grateful you've given me the opportunity to flesh him out so much more about just him really missing Doubling over time, and that really becoming something that affected him very, very deeply. Skate coming back, Doubling coming back as Skate, and basically at that point in his life, Raccoon really isn't able to accept anybody else. He's very, very distant, very, very closed off, and we just see him kind of evolving over time. Generally going from just a kind of jokey, carefree villain to just a really, really bitter, really, really angry guy.
I'll be happy.
It really did just kind of evolve. It wasn't like something that we just like really forced in. It just kind of happened that way because we just kind of retrace the steps. We added episode 4 into the mix. It was not originally intended from the outlines, and I decided to make Raccoon the bad guy of that because we grew to like him. And then when we were doing episode 5, we added the scene, which Liz, of course, you were also in as Rally Bot again back then.
Yep.
We added that because it just kind of worked for what was going on with the knowledge that he had of the first episode. And back to the original plan, when he was just going to be, he and Doubling were just going to be in episode 1, and then they were going to show up again very briefly in the tournament. And I remember in the first draft I had for, I think that was episode 8, the first draft I had with that, it was just going to be like a joke scene. Like they would have popped up, made a couple jokes, and then Curb would have defeated both of them. That would have been it. But we, I just felt with the way that it was evolving, it wouldn't have worked anymore for Doubling to just magically be back again after making such a big deal out of it. So Skate was the idea had of bringing Doubling back, with his, his pride of, of like, oh, I can't, really face him, but I miss doing this because it was so much fun, and I was actually happy doing this with him. And he's too prideful to admit it. So Skate ended up being kind of the perfect device to bring Doubling back in.
Absolutely.
And of course, that was also a good way of setting up the bits about Curb and Zeto being the same user and
good transition allegory kind of thing.
Yeah, and also even with into this scene which we're doing right here with me and Alpha, because Mac, when we were writing the scene with Raccoon and Skate in this episode, obviously I set some limitations of don't want it to run too long, and make the episode go too far. But it ended up serving kind of a perfect purpose because Curb witnessing what happens led like very smoothly into what happens here with this this kind of dramatic falling out with him and Alpha.
Cry, holy shit!
This made a lot of people cry. Well, you really like this scene too, Liz.
Yeah.
I remember you were
Actually, I was tweeting about this from one of my friends, Zach, on Twitter. We were talking about this because he made a comment about how some giving your character like your hero versus your villain, giving your villain a very like two-dimensional, like, oh, I'm just against you to be against you, and it's garbage. And for a second, I'm like, yeah, Zeto's kind of like that because he's just, I'm just against the virus. And the more I thought about it, I'm like, no, not really, because especially as the series went on, he devolved into this personal thing of the Kirbopher character clashing with the duty of the Zeto character. Duty, joke. He feels like he doesn't have control over anything anymore. He can't protect Alpha as Kirbopher. He won't fight Kizuna as Kirbopher. He can't convince people to stay out of the way as Zeto, but he also has to use like Alpha as part of the mission. That Kagena's plan. He can tell he's kind of losing his shit here a little bit because he's like he doesn't really know what to do or like where to go or just stay out of it. Oh my god, this kind of thing. Pretty neat.
Yeah, and I think again, the decision that we made in back in episode 10 to reveal to the audience that Kirb and Zeto are the same person. I think that really did help, I think, add to the dimension of a lot of these scenes like this, because again, Alpha doesn't know, obviously, but the audience knowing where Kirb is coming from, I think, makes this like even more emotional. And of course, this dramatic shot of the two of them not facing each other has been redrawn by many fan artists, which I very much appreciate it.
It's very cool. I've seen a lot of really good high def versions of this one. It's nice.
Something else. I'm so many things are coming back into my mind just like doing this and talking about this here. Something else that was it never made it to paper. I don't think it was ever in any drafts of the script or anything. But something that I wanted to include at one point was because we had this whole setup of the Net Kings quietly trying to evacuate the populace of TOME and all the players and everything from out so they wouldn't get hurt by what they're planning on doing next. And I was going to have a scene at one point of just a bunch of players, but Raccoon's whole thing kind of just served the same purpose anyway, of players basically making the best in their own ways of their last 24 hours possibly, because they didn't know of is the game going to keep going after this, we don't know, etc. There was going to be some shots of Archie being picked on by some other players and things, just him kind of being bullied around or whatever. And I think that Kirb also would have witnessed that in addition to, what happens with Raccoon. But again, the Raccoon and Skate scene just kind of...
purpose.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think it would have been okay to add it anyway, but it certainly didn't hurt to have it missing or anything.
Oh, look, another scene where everyone's freaking out over it. Oh no, what did he say? What did he say? What did Gamecrazed and Nylocke? Oh my god, what did he say? What did he say?
Ritsuko Akagi. The truth is, I'm Rick James, bitch! That's what he said.
Exactly.
And I want to get this out here really quick. I know a lot of people were disappointed by Skate really not being allowed to do anything thanks to Raccoon's actions in the tournament. I hope people were at least pleased with the payoff that came as a result of that. I sacrificed Skate in that episode for the purpose of feelings later on, and I hope y'all enjoyed it. Or I hope it made you cry.
Well, it did, and I remember. I mean, you were saying to me, outside of this, that I think you were surprised by really how much of an impact that whole thing, made on everybody.
I really, really was. I mean, I know there's a lot of people who like Raccoon, but I know that there's certainly people who dislike him for fair reasons as well. He can be quite an obnoxious character. But it really seemed like it was just a total unanimous, accepting feeling from everybody, and I really, really hugely appreciated it. Because it's something I really put a whole lot into. That scene, that character really means the world to me. So it was really special.
He's become your favorite character you've ever voiced now.
Well, he has been for a while, but he's very much a part of me. We are one and the same.
Gracious.
While we're on this scene, also, Liz, we can talk about this as well. This was something that because I think we made a lot of changes to the dialogue on this part as well.
Yes, we did. I remember this one.
So back in episode 7 again, we also talked about in that commentary how we changed. That was the point where originally Alpha and Flamey were going to get together and just be in a relationship, but we decided to not have it be outright with that, which I think made things a lot more interesting to kind of have again this tension between the two of them.
Tension between the three of them because you got Kirb too, according to Tumblr. All right, so
true enough. Yeah, with Kirb, and then also with Neo Mutant. Yeah, yes. it's a whole love
square.
Square.
No,
sure.
because Kirbopher hates Neo Mutant. No, Kirbopher hired Neo Mutant in a way, so I guess
that's true. That's true. It is a rhombus.
Jesus.
Rhombus of love. Well, I don't know. Was there anything worth talking about with some of the changes we made to this
I
bit
think
here?
for this one, we actually we sat down and actually explained more, because Alpha's like, oh, what's the deal with this Neo Mutant guy? Why should we trust him? Whatever. Oh, they're gonna smooch. No. So we kind of hammered down more
again.
We hammered down more of a reason for Neo Mutant and Flamegirl, like, a little bit of their history together. Like, yeah, we were in school together, and he's kind of a creep, but it's whatever. It's like, I care about you, Alpha, and then Nylocke's like, Nylocke, dragon of cock blocking, like, good. Well, no, what was the phrase they used? I think Twitter or somebody else came up with it, where it was like lock blocking,
Lock block. Yes, that was it. I am absolutely, whoever came up with that term, you were a goddamn genius.
Yep.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think also, again, I keep saying we said this in the other commentary. They keep saying that, but I think we also mentioned back then about how we didn't always want to give like too big of a window into the real life lives of the main characters, because we wanted to leave a lot of that up to mystery. But I think with Flamey, again, because she was the most like normal, the one with the least amount of issues of the main five, being the most level-headed. I think that having these kind of weird kind of things going on with Neo Mutant and her life in school and everything suited it really well, and I think that getting to see that, because I think that Flamey, more so than any of the others, I think we get to see the most about in terms of, or at least so far. I won't say anything more than that, but really getting to see what it is that is her deal, outside of the game, to really kind of make the characters feel more human. And
why she takes it personally and stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that was the other thing too. And again, even looping back to episode 4, that's another reason why I'm glad we kind of ended up adding that episode to the mix, because that, and then seeing them go through the Night King battles together, it's like, it's like, yes, some of these problems could just be easily solved by they don't it's a video game, they just stop playing. It's like, Liz, you have been a massive fan of World of Warcraft for many, many, many years, and that game is extremely important and very special to you.
Yep.
So a lot of, which I think is also part of why your script supervision has really helped out a lot since the beginning of the show, with with kind of lending that sense of this is something that we're really invested in, that means something to us. Even in the case of we've met the people that made this game and we don't trust them, we have this suspicion of them, but it's still something that they're possibly going to risk their well-being and health over. But and then of course we have the best character here. Love you, Ben, if you're listening to this. So I do want to say, I almost forgot. I was going to give a quick little shout out real quick. Jan Animations, who joined on season 2 to do lip sync, he was not available while we were doing this one, and so I had 2 assistant animators, Andy Draper and Stephen Ray Brown, join on and did me a huge favor, because there was so much talking in this episode, so much lip sync that needed to be done.
Oh yeah,
and they really helped me out. So thank you guys if you're listening to this as well. And while I got you two guys here, I really want to thank you two as well, because and this is of course not to undermine anybody else on the crew, because of course everybody's done an amazing job and everything they've helped me with, but you guys have really shown a lot of investment into the characters of this series, and the characters are what make this show, and I really think that it would even though these are finite details of the things that we added to this, that we're talking about here, that aren't even necessarily tied to the overall plot. I think that it's because of those things that a lot of people enjoy the show so much, and I really owe it to you guys for that. So I just wanted to say thank you both seriously so much for everything you've done the last now 3 years that I've had you on board this.
Oh, you're too kind, Marshmallow Man.
I hate you.
I hate you more.
Well, we got a couple minutes left as our glorious theme song is playing. Do you guys have any last couple things you want to say to the listeners or fans out there? Anything?
I'm great. I'm the best. I'm pretty awesome, cool, and I totally was not crying. I had something in my eye.
Yeah, and it was just hurting, and you were sobbing about it.
Can I also talk about how weird Nylocke looks without the cape? That will never, after seeing some episodes of season 1, seeing him without the cape is really weird for me. It's like stubby legs with sprite animation. Like, look at him go. Like, oh, little stubby legs go. Run, Nylocke, run. Without the cape.
And of course, also, you know, I mean, his ever expanding crotch.
Yes.
You know,
oh my god.
Yeah.
It's like in One Piece where like Nami and Robin's boobs are expanding, like, you know, with like through each arc they get bigger and bigger and bigger. With Nylocke, it's like every episode, it's just the crotch is like bulging further and further.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Oh my god.
I like how you're talking like it has a mind of its own. Like you're not even involved with that.
It is it's a sentient, you know, it's a separate character. It doesn't have its own profile on the Facebook page, but it is absolutely its own entity for sure.
Excellent.
Oh my god. I guess we're wrapping up, but again, thank you guys so much for taking the time to do this, and you know, you guys deserve so much credit for all the stuff that you've done. Again, since the first episode of the show.
Yes, we do.
And yes.
Yep.
Right, Liz. All the credit.
Yes. Yeah. Wait, what? Yeah, it's me.
I'm the reason the show is good.
That's me. Yeah. Okay.
And thank you guys all again for listening. Hope you enjoy the next episode, which will be episode 0. So look forward to that. And
so
we're still working on it.
We are. It's
but,
so awesome.
That'll do it. So thank you guys again. We'll see you next time, and bye.
We love you.
No, we don't.